Welcome, everyone, to this annual celebration. It's a joy and honor to welcome you as we come together to celebrate another amazing year on our journey together in the Laudato Si Action platform. My name is Sarah Mundell, and I'm speaking to you from the United States. I'm here today on behalf of the whole team working for the Laudato Si Action platform, which is a program of the Vatican's dicastery promoting integral human development, with our global operational partner, the Laudato Si movement. It's my pleasure to be moderating this morning or this afternoon or evening, depending on where you're connecting from today. We are celebrating 2 years that the participants of the Laudato Si Action platform have been able to enter a journey towards integral ecology through a process of reflection, creating Laudato Si plans, and putting those plans into action. We are so grateful for this global community that is committed to caring for our common home. The platform has given us all a place to connect with others around the world in a variety of sectors, in the spirit of Pope Francis's 2015 encyclical letter, Laudato Si. Thank you all for being here at this special celebration. This event is being live streamed in English to YouTube and Facebook, with simultaneous translations available in Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and French on Zoom. Please see the chat for a link to the Zoom call if you need translations. Once in Zoom, click on the globe button at the bottom of the page to find the correct translation. As you join, we invite you to share in the chat your name and where you're joining us from so we can feel how global this event is. Just as a reminder, today's program is being recorded, and we ask that any comments made in the chat be positive and respectful. During our celebration, we will have the opportunity to pray together, learn about the theological perspectives of the Laudato Si Action platform and the achievements of our journey together, and be prepared at the end of our event to share through social media the great joy of our celebration. Now, let's bring the whole world in our hearts into a moment of prayer that will be led by the Laudato Si Action Platform Program Manager, Alonso Dianes. If you have any prayers of gratitude for this year or any special intentions, you can also share them in the chat box now. So Alonso, I'll hand it to you.
Thank you very much, Sarah, and welcome everyone to this celebration. Divine Essence, source of all creation. In the footsteps of St. Francis and St. Hildegard, we stand before you, humbled by the interconnectedness of life. Grant us the grace to see the sacred in every living being and recognize the harmony in the dance of ecosystems. As St. Francis found kinship with the sun, moon, and stars, may us too discover our place in the cosmic embrace, understanding that our actions ripple through the fabric of existence. Like St. Hildegard, who celebrated the greening power of God in nature, may we be guardians of the flourishing earth, nurturing the seeds of sustainability and justice. Guide us in cultivating a heart of compassion for every creature, from the fragile flowers to the majestic mountains, recognizing each as a reflection of your divine artistry. Empower us to be stewards of the fragile planet, making choices that honor the delicate balance of ecosystems and respect the interconnectedness of all life. Our Lord, in moments of challenge, may we find strength in your wisdom, embracing simplicity and humility as pathways to true ecological conversion. Let this prayer be a commitment to change, a pledge to live in harmony with the earth, and a testament to our role as caretakers of your magnificent creation. Amen.
Thank you, Alonso, for this beautiful prayer.
Thank you.
Now I would like to invite on screen John Mundell, the director of the Laudato Si Action platform, appointed by the Vatican's dicastery for promoting integral human development, who will share a few words of welcome and some news from over this year of our journey walking together. Welcome.
Good day, everyone. Can everyone hear me, hopefully? Happy birthday, Laudato Si Action Platform. I always like to start out a presentation with our beautiful common home, the big blue dot we all inhabit. I also want to bring it a little closer to my own home in the United States. This is a few blocks away from where I live, and this is a friend of mine. I can really say that. It's a great old bur oak tree that I go often to visit, share with, and meditate. I hope all of you have that opportunity near you to take advantage of nature. Let's talk about the Laudato Si Action Platform, what we've done, what we've experienced this year. And I like this quote that Pope Francis gave us from Laudate Deum, his apostolic exhortation. It says, authentic faith not only gives strength to the human heart, but also transforms life, transfigures our goals, and sheds light on our relationship to others and with creation as a whole. I love that expression, transforms life, transfigures our goals, and sheds light. That has been my experience with this Laudato Si Action Platform we've all tried to live this last 2 years. So before I go further, perhaps we should also welcome a greeting from someone you may know, Pope Francis, who said a few special things about the platform this last week. Maureen?
2 anni fa veniva avviata la piattaforma di azione Laudato Si. Ringrazio quanti hanno aderito a questa iniziativa e incoraggio a proseguire il cammino di conversione ecologica. A questo proposito preghiamo per la conferenza a Dubai sui cambiamenti climatici COP28, ormai vicina.
What a wonderful greeting to us and encouragement, especially in light of what's happening around the world and the Pope's recent announcement that he will be at COP28 in Dubai. So for those who are joining us, Sarah mentioned a little bit about the Laudato Si Action Platform, what we are. It is a Vatican-facilitated online initiative and community, and it aims at inviting Catholics and beyond on this journey of ecological conversion toward an integral ecology. We have various sectors that Sarah showed that are involved in the platform. And what is our aim? Our aim is to begin to make concrete actions to listen to and respond to the cry of the earth, the cry of the poor, and we would also say the cry of our children and future generations. This is a reminder slide that I often show to say, what is our vision? It's to not be alone. Sometimes when we're alone and we do something positive for the earth, it's a beautiful impact. It sends a little ripple in a pond, but it doesn't necessarily reach the entire pond. Also, separately, we can each have our own little acts of concrete love for the earth, but they are separate and they kind of sometimes even might cancel each other out. But together, when we work together, we can create a wave, an impact that swamps the whole pond, that really makes a difference. And so the value of the platform, really there are 4 things I often think of. One is that when we do something concrete that we're trying to do, we become more credible when we live what we believe. We also become more effective, as the wave showed you, when we act together. And then also, when we think and connect globally like this, we also then can act locally and then be more inspired to be more effective in our actions that help the earth around wherever we live. Finally, we are very mindful in our actions on a daily basis, and we want to act now in the present moment to really make a difference, to not postpone what we do. When the Pope brought out Laudato Deum, he mentioned this idea of inviting everyone on a pilgrimage of reconciliation. It's a beautiful phrase. Our Cardinal Czerny, who's the prefect for the dicastery for promoting integral human development, has given us a message that will be in our annual report. But paraphrasing part of it, he says, as with any pilgrimage, there will be significant challenges and setbacks, and you have no doubt already experienced some of these, but also you've experienced steps forward and moments of celebration. Let us pray that each small step represents a step closer to God, a deepening of our faith, a shedding of worldly baggage, greater love for our siblings, and better care for our common home. So we're all on this pilgrimage of reconciliation for the world. Well, who are we? What are our sectors? Here are our sectors, and here's where who belongs to our community in October 2023. We have now over 8,000 participants, with institutions almost numbering 4,000 of those participants. Over 180 dioceses, over 400 parishes, more than 4,000 families and individuals, about 1,000 schools, 200 plus universities, almost 1,100 religious communities and congregations, more than 800 organizations and groups, and 70 hospital and healthcare networks, and economic entities numbering almost 100. Well, that's at least something we can celebrate. We have a community that started out of the total Catholic population of 1.3 billion. And that group represents, we've estimated conservatively, more than 125 million impacted by these sectors. Impacted meaning that they have the potential, if they follow and develop plans, to make a difference. How do we compare with last year? Well, we've seen over this past year about a 37% increase in 1 year of those at least engaged with the platform. And we know numbers aren't always that important, but here in the early stages, we are trying to reach as many people as possible with the message of Laudato Si and the need for action. This last year represents about a 45 million person increase in impact. So it's positive news. And I want to thank everyone involved in all the big and large and not so large ways we've gathered people, we've communicated what we're doing, and we passed the word on. So thank you, everyone. Well, we cover also the entire world. I show this picture, and it looks like we do cover the world when you have the symbols of the sectors big enough to cover the world. But zooming in on, for example, South America, we can see our network. It spans across each continent, whether it's schools, universities, parishes, dioceses. We really have begun to create a net over the entire world that we can have a very positive impact when we work together. So almost 4,000 institutions driving change. That's a real milestone. That's a number that we're happy to have as part of our journey. So who are these sectors? Well, one sector is where we start with sustainability is at home, oftentimes in our families or as an individual. And this is Miguel and Marta from Lisbon, Portugal. And they say the Laudato Si Action platform is a place where families can create their Laudato Si plans, which serves as a practical roadmap for sustainable living. So almost 5,000 families and individuals now are heading toward that number anyway. So it's a very positive aspect where we all begin as in a family or at a home or as ourselves. We have another segment of the platform, the diocese and parishes platform. Two of our participating people on that platform are Michael and also, also Peter, who talk about being inspired by the number of resources that are available for parishes and for dioceses on the platform. And again, we have a small number compared to the total number of archdioceses and dioceses in the world, but it's growing, and the awareness is growing, and the impact for the involvement of the church is large. We also have our other sectors headed by and participating with several people that are very important to us. One is Emanuela from the organizations group, who really focuses and is interested in the Laudato Si Action platform, how it encourages the organizations to start their journeys towards integral ecology. And we also have Father Matthew and Indu in our health and healing sector. And they like how the platform connects the communities of healthcare workers across the world. And so Sarah has shown you earlier our goals. And this is what we started out this year. This year was all about beginning to understand the Laudato Si goals. What are they? How to set goals, how to have concrete actions. And our concrete actions varied by sector. They were flexible. Everyone can choose the goals they would like. There are resources for each of the goals, and it is a way of beginning to track our progress on doing things that are positive. As part of this, we had a monthly webinar series where each of you, we had many hundred people involved in responding to those webinars, and they covered each of the goals eventually, everything from spirituality to education, from advocacy to sustainable living. And those are a number of good resources to go and revisit as you begin planning for your next goals. We also had involvement in the young people around the world, what they are doing, not only actions wherever they are, but also their involvement in their major events such as World Youth Day. We also focused on the aspects in the season of creation about eco-justice and distributing justice, and how that also impacts and is reflected in how we view peace and justice. And we have a celebration coming up in December about simple living in Advent. So these webinars were really a strong part of what we were trying to do to bring everybody together, to begin living the same thing each month as a community. One example of living these goals, I'll just give one. There's so many that we've received around the world, but this is from our university sector, from Michael Shook, who's our lead in the working group. He gave examples of, for example, in the universities, how they're responding to the cry of the earth by having an initiative such as stormwater retention cisterns and campus recycling programs, responding to the cry of the poor by starting in universities secondhand stores and free food pantries for students. In ecological economics, many of the universities have divested from fossil fuels or switched to socially conscious investing. In adopting sustainable lifestyles, many of our universities on the platform have created green living and learning communities or free student closets for sharing their clothes and electronic devices. Great ideas. In ecological education, there are new degree programs in environmental studies and even new ecological internships that weren't present several years ago, but have been inspired by the platform. In ecological spirituality, many new eco-retreats and even eco-anxiety support groups have been formed in universities to really encourage the deepening of an eco-spiritual life. And finally, in the building community resilience and empowerment, we have community gardens that have been started within and adjacent to universities, and the sharing of university resources with the community around them. So this is just one sector that has taken the goals and have begun to implement them in their specific way. And it's a great example. So what did we do in 2023? Well, we did involve ourselves in these goals. We also put out monthly newsletters to all of our participants. We had bi-monthly working group meetings to help steer some of the activities of the sectors and engage more people. And of course, we had weekly social media posts and also the involvement of ourselves in global events. For example, the Run for Unity, where there was a global relay race with young people and tree planting, where tens of thousands of young people came together and created a relay around the world. We were involved in Laudato Si Week, World Youth Day activities, the Season of Creation. All of you, wherever you were, I think touched all of these locally in very real ways. And it's been very inspiring to see all the activities going on. And of course, many of us, including all of you, have been involved in giving talks at our parishes or universities, involved in podcasts and publications, in magazines, and even in journals. This one example on the left is showing one of the things that was developed for the World Youth Day program called 10 Essentials for the Eco Pilgrim. That's just one example of the many concrete ways we've contributed to trying to be more active and more thoughtful in our lifestyles. And of course, we just finished with the Season of Creation, which focused its message on environmental justice and how we are working there. And the Pope reminded us how we're like rivers, how we're like brooks, where we come together to form a mighty stream. Or some maybe didn't. Maybe we were more like dried up riverbeds. And so all of us on the platform connect with people around the world, connect with each other. We build bridges between difficult situations and not difficult situations, between cultures, between countries, and we weave community in the very act of what we're doing. And so as we go forward, we'll continue this listening and dialogue with those around us as we try to spread our message. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes we have to remember not everyone thinks as we do, that we each come with our own set of baggage, with our own set of life experiences. And we have to understand who we are, how we are formed in our personal identity, depending on where we're from, our background, our race, our gender, our faith, our education, whether we're old, young, conservative, not conservative. All those things make up who we are and how we go about dialogue. Finally, I want to say one thing about ecological conversion. How do we do it? Were we able to change direction this year? And the answer lies in a simple concept of a sailboat's rudder. You know, that little piece of wood or metal that is attached to the back of the boat. When the rudder is turned by the steering, it causes the ship to change directions. And although it's just a small piece of the ship, it dramatically impacts the direction that the ship will go. Those are our choices. We're a lot like sailing ships. We have to check our directions. We have to understand the currents around us. We have to understand our own condition, how we can change. We have to understand what resources we need to change, and also who we surround ourselves. What kind of crew is that? So we all are on this ecological conversion journey together. And I'll really try to end with this final guiding principle. We do not think ourselves into new ways of living. We live ourselves into new ways of thinking. I like that, because really when we begin to act, it changes the way we think. And that also continues the transformation process. So I think I've said enough here. I haven't said much about Laudato Deum yet, but I think I've taken the time necessary to give you a big welcome, to give a little recap of what we've done, It's been a very good year. We've all had our challenges, but I think there are rays of hope that are out there for the direction we're heading. And I encourage everyone to continue inspiring those around you and all of us to be more in love with our common home and the way we live our lives.
Great. Thank you so much. So much beautiful news from around the world. And we know there are so many other stories that we could share. We're really grateful for all the gifts this year and are looking forward to many more to come in this year to come. So now we move to the part of our program where we have 2 theological reflections to share. First, we are glad to invite Father Jostrom Kurithadam, who's from the Salesians of Don Bosco. He's the theological consultant of the Laudato Si Action Platform, who will share with us a theological reflection on the platform's goals.
Hello, glad to speak to you on the anniversary of the Laudato Si Action Platform as we rejoice for the gift of this project, inspired by Pope Francis's landmark encyclical letter, Laudato Si. Just a few weeks ago, Pope Francis published Laudate Deo, reminding us of the gravity, of the seriousness of the crisis of our common home. And it is time to act together as the family of the Laudato Si Action Platform. I would like to share with you 3 simple thoughts on the beautiful occasion of this anniversary. First of all, the words of Mahatma Gandhi: become the change you want to see in the world. That each of us, like Noah in the Old Testament, each of us has a very precious, providential role to play as members of the Laudato Si Action Platform, becoming protagonists, bringing about the change that we want to see in our common home, in our society. The second reflection is about the integral nature of the Laudato Si goals. We have 7 Laudato Si goals, this beautiful biblical number referring to fullness. It's important to put all these goals together, with the cry of the earth along with the cry of the poor, ecological economics at the macro level, and with the change of lifestyles at the micro level, education and spirituality, the 2 pillars that can bring about transformation, and the 7th Laudato Si goal, that we do all this as a community, all the more relevant in the light of the synod that we have just celebrated, that we walk together as a community. So I invite you to realize the Laudato Si Action Platform, not piecemeal, but putting together all the 7 Laudato Si goals into practice together. The third and the final reflection is an element of hope. In the Action Platform, we speak about the importance of creating the critical mass. And we know the critical mass is nearly 3.5% of humanity. If we can really motivate at least 300 million people to come together, we have the critical mass for change. Time is running out. Let us come together to create this critical mass, which will then lead to societal transformation that requires a greater target that we need between 21 to 24% of humanity, 2 billion people. But that is inevitable. That will come about if we have the critical mass. So let us become the change we want to see in the world. Let's bring about this change in an integral way through realizing all the 7 Laudato Si Action Platforms, and let us act together urgently to reach the critical mass. May the Holy Spirit continue to inspire, guide, and sustain all our humble efforts for the care of our common home and also humanity, especially the weakest amongst us. God bless.
Thank you, Father Josh. And thank you for all you do for the Laudato Si Action platform. Next, we have a reflection on Pope Francis's new apostolic exhortation, Laudate Deum, which came out last month to affirm the drastic circumstances caused by the climate crisis and the urgency to concretely respond. Laudate Deum means praise God. So now I would like to welcome Dr. Fabienne Revol, Director of the Helen and Jean Bastet Center on Integral Ecology in France, to share with us some thoughts on how Laudate Deum connects with the work being done through the platform. So thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for welcoming me. Good afternoon or good morning to everyone, according to your time on the earth where you are. I am very happy to share with you some theological reflection on the apostolic exhortation Laudate Deum to all people of goodwill on the climate crisis. It is a very important text written by Pope Francis. It was delivered on the 4th of October, day of St. Francis of Assisi, patron and model for integral ecology. It comes 8 years after the encyclical letter Laudato Si on care for our common home. The Pope gives us two main reasons to provide such an exhortation. The first, on paragraph 2, I quote, "Our responses to the harm done to creation have not been adequate," end of quote. The climate change is not only a change, but a real crisis, bearing all the problems generated by our inadequate ways of life. In sight of the challenges humanity meets and of the goals of the next COP28 in Dubai, it seems necessary to the Pope to renew an urgent call to reaction and action. Second reason, in paragraph 4, I quote, "It is to clarify and complete what Pope Francis was able to state some time ago," end of quote, some time ago in Laudato Si, because the context, both social and historical, has changed too. This modified context includes the painful experience of the COVID-19, the tragedy of war in Ukraine, and the consequent energical crisis, and eventually the strong influence and impact of artificial intelligence on our way of life. There is then the need of complementary reflections. My mission today is to shed light on the theological foundations of integral ecology emanating from the exhortation Laudate Deum. I'd like to present them both according to their order within the text, but also according to their common principle, which is given at the beginning of the 6th part. Creation is good, and it corresponds to the will of God the Creator. The cornerstone of the argumentation is the importance of faith for human life, because, I quote, "Authentic faith not only gives strength to the human heart, but also transforms life, transfigures our goals, and sheds light on our relationship to others and with creation as a whole." On this basis, end of quote, on this basis, we can receive the other important points. The first point is methodological and reminded at the very beginning of the exhortation. How is it possible to see the goodness of creation? In making Jesus's gaze on creation one's own, so that we can see its beauty and the message of the Father put in it. The goodness of creation is the foundational basis for the reception of the gospel of creation proposed in Laudato Si, chapter 2. Thanks to it, we can at last remind us that every creature has its own and intrinsic value to be respected alongside and in articulation with human dignity. The second point is that the earth belongs to God and not to the human creatures. It therefore sustains human responsibility towards what is entrusted to us, the care of common home. As part of this goodness, which needs to be further explained and developed, we can find that creation is the mirror of God. Creation reflects God's goodness, love, power, glory, and beauty. This theological point has strong moral implications. As the diversity of creatures speaks more of God's glory, erasing biodiversity becomes a sin of decreasing God's manifestation of glory within creation. Another way of speaking of the goodness of creation is to consider that whole creation is beneficiary of the eschatological promises. And it will be glorified in a new creation recapitulated in the risen Christ. Next step is to recognize that God is present within his creation and creation is present in God. This in eco-theology is called panentheism, and here it is nicely professed by the Pope. The paragraph 66 deepens our reflection, putting theology in dialogue with ecological thinking. We are created connected with all creatures. Interconnectedness is part of the status of being a creature. This is true for the human creature too. Therefore, we suffer from the loss of interconnectedness. It goes against the great movement and process of creation. Eventually, in the last paragraph, we can find an ultimate theological foundation as an address to all believers. Please do not consider yourself as a God or in God's place. True worship helps to make distinction and puts everyone to his or her true place in creation. This reception of the gospel of creation should lead to the believer to steps into a better conversion for caring for creation as personal and community commitment. And I must add that a conversion that does not start with the reception of this gospel of creation is doomed to fail. And if this is truly done at the scale of community, the Pope says that it can create a new culture that can change the world. In consequence of this reception, we can then hope that it will be the end of climato-skepticism, especially within the Catholic Church, so that believers take more seriously the possible outcomes of climate change. They can also understand the challenges of the COP28 in Dubai, where the Pope goes. Concretely, there are means to act, especially in doing advocacy for divesting from fossil fuel economy or in your community by showing simply and discussing the movie The Letter. You can absolutely join the Laudato Si Action platform and find different possibilities to initiate action or sustain it according to your own reality. You have the choice to fulfill one or several goals of the platform: responding to the cry of the earth, responding to the cry of the poor, acting in the field of ecological economics, adoption for yourself of sustainable lifestyles, promoting ecological education, develop ecological spirituality, or acting for the resilience and empowerment of communities. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Fabian. Yes, it's so good to remember this interconnectedness, and that without the rest of creation, we don't even know who God is, and we are not ourselves. So Now we will move on to the testimony moment of our celebration. We'll start with Peter Arndt, who's the director of the Office for Justice, Ecology, and Peace for the Australian Catholic Bishops' Conference. 1 year ago, the Australian Catholic Bishops' Conference shared at the annual celebration their commitment to invite all Catholic organizations in Australia to create Laudato Si Plans through the Laudato Si Action Platform. And this year on June 5th, which is World Environment Day, the Bishops' Conference presented their Laudato Si Action Plan for 2023 to 2025. So thinking of other organizations around the world that might want to develop a plan, we asked Peter if he could share any success stories about the development process and what has happened in Australia since. So he sent us this recorded message since it is now the middle of the night in Australia.
Even before the Australian Catholic Bishops' Conference launched its Laudato Si Action Plan on World Environment Day, staff in the conference secretariat were getting involved by organising a Clean Up Australia Day event in March. Since the launch of the plan, a new General Secretary has been appointed and a number of new executive staff, and they are all very keen to support the efforts of the plan and are starting to engage with the various bishops' commissions to identify new actions that we can add to the plan. And in other exciting news, since the Australian Plenary Council asked that all parishes, dioceses, schools and other Catholic entities develop their own Laudato Si action plan, the bishops have now asked Caritas Australia to take charge of rolling out the engagement with all those entities. A steering group has been formed to oversee that process. A work plan has been developed, and now we are starting to engage with dioceses, parishes and schools to help them to develop their own plan. So as you can see, the Church in Australia is fully embracing the commitment to integral ecology.
Wow, thank you, Peter. I find it so hopeful to hear what momentum can happen when the local church comes together to answer the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. So all the best to Australia with their Laudato Si plans, and also to all the dioceses throughout the world who've also submitted plans or are hoping to soon. You're really leading the way to showing how the Catholic Church and beyond can respond to this urgent climate crisis. Next, we are wanting to celebrate the various dioceses and archdioceses around the world who are committing to divesting from fossil fuels, which is right in line with Pope Francis's call in Laudate Deum. One of those is the Archdiocese of Manila in the Philippines, who made the commitment to divest during this year's season of creation in September. So join me on a virtual trip to the Philippines, where we have Lourdes Valencia Arsenio connected live. She's the coordinator of the Ministry on Ecology for their archdiocese. Lourdes, can you tell us more about what led to this commitment to divest from fossil fuels? And what does this mean for the archdiocese? And also, how is the Laudato Si Action Platform helpful in this process, and what actions are you taking following your commitment? Thank you for being with us.
Hi, good evening. Good evening from the Philippines. I'm trying to share. It seems I'm not techie in this in this platform. Nevertheless, I just have to discuss it, so it's not to waste my time. Oh, it's here. Okay. So the Archdiocese Manila has been actually it had divested from um, fossil fuel and other destructive industries since before Laudato Si was released by Pope Francis. But then I just would like to share with you a story of how the Ministry in Ecology has been trying to do its part. And so we all know that many already knew that the the Philippines had a landscape pastoral letter that is happening to our beautiful land. And even this has been also part of the Laudato Si. And even at a young ministry, we already conducted the Global Warming Climate Change Conference in partnership with other organizations, and that was led by the Archdiocese Manila. And so, when it the next to the Global Warming Conference was actually, we were instrumental. They were told that the passage of the Renewable Energy Act. So for 18 years, the ministry has been trying to uh, to do its share in promoting care for our common home. And when Laudato Si came about in 2015, it gave us a sense of affirmation that indeed we are in the right track. Now, we were very happy that Laudato Si Action Platform and Laudato Si Goals uh, uh, were also launched, because it aided us in really trying to mobilize as many as we can, all parishes, all sectors in the Archdiocese of Manila. And it indeed had a very big help in making people aware that caring for a common home is a responsibility of everyone. And that is how we tried to promote it. And it's just sad that we only recently announced, this is also consistent with the CBCP pastoral statement made a year ago, of the commitment to divest in 2005. And so we were able to get the strength to to share that, to inform the public that there's Diocese of Manila has indeed uh, divested from all direct investments on industries that are destructive to the environment, including coal powered industries that were uh, powered or supportive of coal and fossil fuel, mining, and many others. And that happened even, as I've said before, Laudato Si came about. And so we are hopeful that with the continuous showing of the movie The Letter, which we launched during the season of creation. Um, of course, the season of creations we started in 2013 in the Philippines with Cardinal Tagle. That was the, and then we are now on the 10th year. So we feel it's proper that on its 10th year, and that we announce this divestment. Aside from that, we are happy that with the translation that's happening, the movement of change that's happening in the Archdiocese Manila, we caring for common home is indeed one of the priorities that is being dealt with. And thus in our strategic objectives, they said that in 2028, there's Diocese of Manila will become a beacon of hope in the promotion of environmental care, and etc. So we are hopeful, and we continue to use the movie The Letter in conducting formation and awareness among the Catholics, especially within the Archdiocese of Manila. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lourdes, also for showing us all these many ways that the Archdiocese of Manila is bringing forward that commitment to divesting from fossil fuels and promoting a lifestyle of the values of Laudato Si. So from diocese and archdiocese and parishes, we are moving to the world of our universities sector. For many of the universities who have signed on to the Laudato Si platform, they've already been on a journey of sustainability or environmental responsibility for a while. And a challenge that some of them face is that they already have had a sustainability plan being put into action. So how do they create a Laudato Si plan that is more than appendix to an existing plan that might even follow other sets of criteria or programs? So I invite you to travel with me now to Seattle in the Northwest United States, almost on the other side of the world. We are going to Seattle University and with Dr. Jeanette Rodriguez, who's a professor for the Theology and Religious Studies, Women's Studies, and Couples and Family Therapy graduate program, and is the executive director for the Institute for Catholic Thought and Culture, as well as being the university's Laudato Si Action Platform co-chair. We asked Jeanette where Seattle University was in their sustainability journey at the time they signed on to the platform. We were curious, did they have to create a totally new plan? Or what were they able to integrate the Laudato Si goals into what they're already doing? And what is the added value of that the Laudato Si goals bring to that journey? So we'll listen to Jeanette now.
Greetings of peace from the Emerald City, Seattle, Washington, USA. My name is Jeanette Rodriguez. I'm a Catholic theologian and the director of the Institute for Catholic Thought and Culture. In thinking about where we were on our sustainability journey prior to signing on to Laudato Si, I'm very proud to share that we already have a very long history in terms of sustainability, focus, goal setting, and action on campus. We can go back to 1986. Seattle University completely put in place organic landscaping, pesticide-free grounds, and landscaping practices. But in terms of goal setting around sustainability and climate action, that started in 2007 when our prior president, Father Sundborg, signed on to the American College and University President's Climate Commitment. Higher education institutions know what that is. And several university presidents reached out to their peers and said that we have a moral responsibility and capacity to take action on climate. Signing on to that commitment came with some requirements, like creating a climate action plan. And that's why a lot of AJCU universities, that is American Jesuit Catholic universities, signed on. And that's why you saw a lot of similar movement, action, activity happening on different campuses. In 2010, Seattle University created its climate action plan. Another requirement was to create a body to oversee the climate action progress. Then, 2011, the President's Committee of Sustainability was created, and that was a committee that oversaw the progress towards the climate action goals. The Center for Environmental Justice and Sustainability was created in 2013. Then in 2016, we participated in the STARS report and received our first gold rating. This is a very important sustainability tool for measuring sustainability on campus. We did 3 STAR reports before we signed on to Laudato Si, which again shows that there was already a lot of knowledge and experience at SU around sustainability. What was amazing was that when the committee around Laudato Si was created, one that was initiated by our present president, Eduardo Peñaver, and supported by our provost, Dr. Shane Martin, he asked me to chair the Laudato Si Action Platform once he signed on and to oversee the committee. He wanted to see us infuse the Laudato Si action work in the university. And so the first thing I did was to look back and tap into the knowledge and experience that we already had from over the years. And this led me to inviting Associate Director of Sustainability, Yolanda Sisters, to be my co-chair. So then we started with a couple of questions. We asked, what were all the goals that we set in the past? Which did we achieve? Which did we not? What did we learn from the STARS report? What are our areas of improvement? What are our areas of strength? Who's doing what on campus? Who is doing something related to the Laudato Si vision and that is not already covered perhaps by any of our sustainability goals or actions? Basically, where are we today and how does that align with Laudato Si? What I also think is interesting is that we didn't see what we had already been done on campus and the new platform of Laudato Si as two different things. We thought about one word, integration. What we already had done should be integrated into Laudato Si because it is an institutional vision. Within Laudato Si, we do climate action work. We do community engagement. We work around sustainability practices in grounds, waste, dining, etc. We put together a STARS report. It's all within the Laudato Si vision. It was great that we didn't see these as separate items. So we integrated it all and studied what went well and what didn't. That also means that we had to think about structure. What went well in the structure that we had? What didn't? What did we need? What were the pivotal moments in order to move forward in the 7-year journey? And from there, we learned from the past. And this is super important. What we learned is that without leadership involvement, we cannot do this work. That is, it's so important for you to bring the need of the structure where we have leadership be actual actors of the decision-making and the structure of Laudato Si. That is what we learned from the past. We didn't have to start in a vacuum, which was great, but we really learned what was done and how that can improve and what can improve that function in order to meet the vision of Laudato Si. The second question asks, did we have to create an entirely new plan? And this is interesting because we actually did the opposite. We did not integrate the Laudato Si goals into what we were doing. We integrated what we were already doing into the Laudato Si goals, since Laudato Si is so much broader than just working with greenhouse emissions or climate action. Climate action is part of Laudato Si, but it is integrating what we have into Laudato Si and not vice versa. So we are very grateful to Pope Francis for this invitation, and we continue to hope that we stay on the path and that we gain new members to join us, both internally within the university and externally. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeanette, and to Seattle University and to all the universities around the world who have committed to the Laudato Si Action Platform, whether you're at a place like Seattle University or at the very beginning of the journey, and are digging deeper into what a Laudato Si journey means on a university campus. Universities have such an opportunity to drive a new culture that brings together ecological education with concrete practices that are in line with the values of Laudato Si. So we're grateful for your leadership and example. Now, last but finally not least, we reached out to Sister Mamalifar Pureku, a sister from the Missionary Sisters of Our Lady of Africa from Ghana, who was recently appointed as the new Executive Co-Secretary for the Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation Commission in Rome, for the Joint Commission of the Union of Superiors General for the Men Religious, and the International Union of Superiors General for the Women Religious. She is also the coordinator of Sowing Hope for the Planet and the leader of the Laudato Si Action Platform's Religious Working Group. So the men and women religious are leading the way when it comes to commitment to integral ecology through the Laudato Si Action Platform. We have to give them an applause for that. We asked Sister Mamalifar if she could share about her work with the Justice, Peace, Integrity for Creation Office and how they support the religious around the world in their effort to learn about the local realities and develop Laudato Si plans that show concrete care for the people in line with Laudato Si. So we'll hear from Sister now.
I am Sister Mamalifar Pureku, a missionary sister of Our Lady of Africa, Executive Co-Secretary of the Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation, USG and UISG, and the coordinator for Sowing Hope for the Planet. In Laudato Si, Pope Francis wrote of the fundamental connection between environmental and social crises of our times, reminding us that everything is interconnected. He asks us for a personal and community conversion. The JPSC Commission, with the help of the Laudato Si Action Platform, works to support all religious men and women in making a difference in the care of our planet. The JPSC office does many things to support these goals with our websites, publications, webinars, videos, and working groups. I would like to tell you about some of our programs this year. We were happy to have been able to provide them to our participants. We hosted a webinar in May about the Congo Basin peatlands, a vulnerable area of biodiversity under threat of exploitation by energy companies. Our speakers included religious and scientists who presented data and evidence as well as perspectives on activism in the region. This was a great opportunity to learn why this area is so important to the world and how to help it survive. In June, I spoke at a seminar on religion, conflict, and peace building in the contemporary global crisis. I shared my experiences as a religious who worked in different parts of Africa. The seminar consisted of dialogues with scholars, representatives of religious institutions, government representatives, and international organizations. I think that it is important for us as religious to see peace in a holistic way. Peace is not only for institutions, but for all of us. We must make space for new ideas, new forms of coexistence, and new directions. In September, the JPSC office collaborated with the religious sector of the Laudato Si Action Platform to present a seminar on integral ecology in religious life and mission. Our presenters spoke of deepening their commitment to Laudato Si, fulfilling the Laudato Si goals, and how to better develop action plans related to integral ecology. In the same month, we hosted a seminar on integral ecology facing extractive economies, communities affected by mining in Latin America. The webinar brought together members of religious communities and faith-based organizations to discuss the Samaritan economy and a mining divestment campaign for economic activism. An important part of our work is supporting the JPSC working groups who are tirelessly working to promote social justice actions. Their contributions are appreciated and welcome. Our Africa Working Group offered a conference during Laudato Si Week on the mystical theology of the Holy Fathers encyclical. The group communicates with other JPSC groups in Ghana, Uganda, Zambia, and other countries. Their topics include mining, extractivism, biodiversity protection, formation programs, and many others. The Anti-Trafficking Working Group has been very busy raising awareness on trafficking issues and human rights. The group offers presentations to learn about trafficking and how to detect and report possible signs of trafficking situations. They are working with agencies such as Talita Kum to share best practices for religious on upholding human dignity and defending human rights. The Integrity of Creation Working Group hosted a screening of the movie The Letter for all JPSC promoters to watch together and share insights on what they have learned. We had a lively discussion full of energy and warmth. Events such as these help our community grow strong together. The Refugee and Migrant Working Group has been functioning since 2012. Pope Francis has called on us to welcome, protect, promote, and integrate refugees. We have listened to his words and are working to promote an agenda of mercy and aid for those who have had to leave their home. We are grateful for our working groups. Their commitment and energy are essential for everything we do here in the JPSC office. All of the work we and our participants have done is of vital importance as we work towards our own Laudato Si goals. The work of the JPSC Commission has been invigorating, and I am grateful to be involved in this collaboration.
Thank you, Sister Mama Lifar, and we are grateful for you too. There are so many men and women religious who are really trailblazing efforts around the world towards this true integral ecology. So thank you. Now I would like to share a few highlights. There would be so many stories to share, right? But we just wanted to point out a few more. For example, a shout out to the Bishops' Conference of Japan, who has translated the goals into Japanese. We encourage everyone who is still waiting for this information in their language to, that could be a good place to start, for example. We also want to celebrate the Archdiocese of Chicago, which has integrated their Laudato Si Action Platform plan into their pastoral plan and is working really with the various ministries in the Archdiocese. We also celebrate the Silesian province of Peru. So they are doing so much good work there, and we want to hold them up, as well as the University Pathways, which is a kind of a special program for all of the universities that are enrolled that help them really follow some of those extra requirements that universities have as they are trying to work not only on their sustainability goals, but as Jeanette said, it's much wider than climate and sustainability, right, when we're talking about Laudato Si. A few activities throughout this year included meeting with the Ecclesial Networks Alliance, which works around the world according to biomes, which is really a new way of looking at our work for Laudato Si and the work in the Catholic Church. We went to World Youth Day and met with many young people there who are very excited about Laudato Si and about knowing that this issue is so important to the Church and to Pope Francis, and feel very inspired by that. There were very many presentations that happened in the US and around the world about the platform. There were webinars, economic resources were developed together with Faith Invest and the Laudato Si movement, especially thinking of institutions and religious communities on ethical investing. So these are just some of many examples we know, and many more that could be shared from around the world. We did want to share a few photos or a video now with just to give you a little bit more of a highlight and see those faces. So just a quick whirlwind tour of what's happening in the world. And because we know there are so many stories, we also want to invite you to share your Laudato Si Action Platform success stories from the year. Maybe your top one or two. Share them on social media and tag us at hashtag LSAP2023. Also, you could share the video from today's program with the same hashtag, really to help spread this culture of living towards integral ecology and putting these goals into practice through concrete actions. We also want to invite you, if you have not yet signed up to the Laudato Si Action platform, to do so today. And if you have signed up, we want to encourage you to submit your Laudato Si plans or your updated plans for this coming year so that they can be uploaded and also available to other participants who are registered and have access to see those and be inspired. And now, just for a some closing announcements, I invite John Mundell back to share one way that we can take concrete action on Laudate Deum in the next few weeks.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, we want to say a few things because we have action that's coming up with the COP28 in Dubai. And it's a great opportunity to take action together and connect with others in your local communities. You know, Pope Francis will be there, and the Laudato Si Action platform. Many of our members will be there. Together with the Laudato Si movement and Caritas International, we've released a joint statement inviting everyone to be part of this moment and to do something visible to in a new way, make an effort to visibly show our support for the activities at the COP. So here are 4 quick things all of us can do. First, we can pray for it. Praying for it just it does everything, sets us in the right frame of mind, makes our desires authentic and not something individual. We can spread the message too, the message of Laudato Si on social media, especially leading up to COP these next couple of weeks. If you've been someone or an institution that hasn't done much visibly, now's time to say, here's what you can support regarding the activities at the COP. You can also contact everyone, your local governmental representatives to COP, to call for climate action. That means you'll have to find their particular contact information, really just to say people of faith are behind positive action that the Pope has really urged in Laudate Deum. Number 4, encourage also your leaders of your institutions to make public statements about COP28 and Laudate Deum. And we've had a number that have begun doing this in their own social media, and so that's a great thing to think about. So look for our blog coming up on how to encourage your government to act on Laudate Deum, found at www.laudatosiactionplatform.org for more details and tips, or click the link in the chat. Our joint global efforts to support policies changes as a faith community is an important voice in the upcoming meeting. So again, for how to encourage your government to act on Laudate Deum, I think we have on the website how to encourage your government to act on Laudate Deum. So I think that's an easy thing to find. So, but you know, we can only make these big cultural changes, though, if each of us is committed to personal change of heart towards care for the earth. So I invite you to take time to stay centered on God and to think of what steps forward you can take personally in the kind of pilgrimage of reconciliation with the earth and all it holds. Remember our little discussion about small steps in the rudder. We desperately need this individually and even more as a global community. We can't turn our backs on our brothers and sisters around the world who are experiencing the negative impacts of the climate crisis. So now, I'll hand this back to Sarah.
Thank you. That's a great challenge to take up. As we close, I just want to say thank you again to all of our speakers, everyone who shared today, and all of you who joined us from around the world in the wide variety of time zones that you're in right now, individuals and organizations, and from all of the sectors of the platform. And a big thank you to our technical team who is helping from the behind the scenes with technical support and with translations to make this available in 5 languages today. We love that global aspect, and translations are a piece of that. Finally, I want to invite you to join us again on December 7th for our next webinar on rediscovering the joy of simple living in Advent. That will be on December 7th, and more news will be coming to your email inbox. Now let us close for a final prayer. We have a special prayer prepared for us by Don Carpenter, who teaches at Georgetown University, is the director of the Solidarity Economy Workshop, and is a senior advisor for the economy of Francesco. Don.
Hi, I'm Dr. Don Carpenter from the Solidarity Economy Workshop at Georgetown University. Let's go to the lake. Gracious and loving Creator, in this moment of reflection, we are filled with gratitude for the beauty and awe that surrounds us in nature. Your divine hand has painted the skies with vibrant hues, adorned the earth with majestic mountains, and gifted us with the gentle whisper of the wind through the trees. Each day, through the wonders of nature, we catch a glimpse of your infinite wisdom and creative power. We humbly acknowledge that it is through your providence that we are provided with all that we need to live in peace, harmony, and love. You sustain us with the nourishment of the earth, the water that quenches our thirst, and the air that fills our lungs. You have entrusted us with the responsibility to care for your creation, to be stewards of the earth and all its inhabitants. Yet we confess our shortcomings, dear Lord. There have been times when we have fallen short of our simple vocation to love one another. We have turned a blind eye to the cries of the earth and the cries of the poor. Forgive us for our indifference and grant us the strength to mend our ways. In the face of the immense gift of life, we pray for fortitude and wisdom. Help us to labor in love, to respond compassionately to the deep cries of the earth and the cries of the poor. May we recognize that we are co-workers with you, invited to play our part in the unfolding story of creation. Inspired by the spirit of St. Francis of Assisi and St. Ignatius of Loyola, we ask for their intercession in guiding our hearts and our minds. May their examples of humility, simplicity, and love inspire us to live out each day as instruments of your peace. With hearts brimming with gratitude and a desire for transformation, we offer this prayer. Amen.
What a beautiful moment of peace and prayer immersed in God's creation. And we wish that all of you can continue to carry this peace with you, carry this global community that we have shared this time with today. Carry that with you throughout the rest of your day and the rest of your week and into all the work that you're doing, knowing that you are not alone. And we can't wait to see what comes next. So thank you for joining this celebration, and many blessings on your Laudato Si journey. See you next time.
Take care, everyone.